So welcome everybody to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. And today is Monday, May the 9th, 2022. And our calling number is 563-999-3581 and press 1. And that puts you in the queue to talk to us. We raise a little hand up and we know that you're not just listening, that you want to talk. We'll introduce you by your area code. And we'd love to hear from you. So I hope everybody had a good weekend and a good Mother's Day and celebrating your mother and your wife, your daughters, whoever, fathers that act as mothers. And I hope you enjoyed being with them. Whether they're in body or spirit, you can still enjoy their presence. And I'll invite you to, once again, go to the website, begin.org, and click on the Start Here button. And that takes you to where you can get started. If you're not familiar with the work or if you're new to it, it starts out and the first thing you'll see is a poster of the factors that create perception and how what we think we see is how our mind creates it. And then under that, there's a link for the Why Is This Happening to Me Again, Chapter 24, where Michael walks the character through the forgiveness process. Then under it is a PowerPoint of the Aramaic forgiveness, and then many versions of the wake-up sheet. And there's just lots and lots of stuff, and it's kind of, I have it broken down now into separate little sections. You click the little plus sign beside of it, and it'll drop down and tell you what's in that section. And so scroll around, see what's out there. We've added some things. If you go to healing, and then you can go down to healing body, mind, and spirit, you'll find some different things under there. And find healing crisis and just lots of information. So we invite you to just scroll around. Let us know if you find a link that's not working, or let us know if there's something that you're having a challenge finding, and I can direct you, or maybe I can put it in a more prominent place. But let us hear your views. And while we're giving Michael just another moment to get dialed in, I did get a email from someone from the website, and so I'll present that to Michael and let him address it. But in the meantime, if you have a question or if there's a particular way that you would like for the conversation to go, what you would like the show to cover, then press 1 and let us hear. So we'll give Michael just another moment. And I think he must be having a technical challenge there, so I will keep talking for a minute. And welcome Bob in the chat room. Appreciate everybody being here. So I'm going to walk down the hall and see what's happening, if I need to do something from the switchboard to get him on easier, quicker. And life is so fun. We actually went this morning. We both had chiropractor adjustments, which was really nice. And then we went to visit Dad and got back just right before the radio show. So continue holding the space for him. He did pretty good. He actually beat us at Domino's this morning, but he's not eating well. He's getting so skinny, and just keep hoping that the physical therapist will continue working with him. But anyway, why is this happening to me again? Somebody press 1. Talk to me while we're waiting on Michael. I'm not sure what the hang-up is there. But anyway, Aramaic forgiveness. Oh, thank you. 808, you're on the air. Hi. Hello, 808. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi. It's morning here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful day
Yeah.
today here.
Yeah, for the first time in a long time, I walked into the kitchen and I saw this golden light. Because I never get any direct sunlight in the morning. It's very unusual. It was there for about 3 minutes and disappeared. The reason I'm calling
glad you
is...
got it.
Huh?
I said I'm glad you got it for that little while.
Yeah, I know. It was like magical. I mean, it was literally golden light. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
well, Michael is
I'm
with us. What can we do for you?
Yeah, I'm reading. I was waiting for Dr. Tim to pause, but he never did. So, I'm waiting. I'm reading The Way of Mastery, and I didn't know there were 3 different versions, 3 different, ones. It turns out it's The Way of Knowing, which is the 3rd one, which is, But anyway, I'm having. Twice last week, Friday. I think it was Friday morning. I woke up, and then I woke up this morning, and I woke up in the middle of the night at 2:00 last night, and was wide awake. So I picked up the book and started reading, and read until I got sleepy, and then I went to sleep. And twice now, I've had this experience where, while I'm sound asleep, this is hard to put into words. Some kind of an organic process is going on in my flesh and my organs and my bones, and I'm pretty sure it's a healing process. And I wondered if anyone else who's been reading these books is having any experience like that. I don't know whether have I expressed it in any ways that you can understand what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I got it.
I would ask: is it painful, or is it pleasure, or is it what kind of physical
it's
sensation
just like
is
a journey. It's like a journey. I don't feel pain. Of course, maybe that's because I'm asleep. I don't know, but it's like a journey of moving through the cells in my body, whether they're organs or bones or flesh or skin, and it's just a journey. Like you get in a car and drive someplace, and you're looking at something different every moment. I mean, I pretty much think that it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think you're right on track. And in the ancient, you might want to do some reading about Kundalini. And in the ancient East, Kundalini was this energy that was theorized to be located in the base of the spine, and it came up the spine and moved throughout the body. I think that the idea that it's something that resides in the base of the spine is purely error. I've watched it happen. I've had it happen and watched it happen with many people over the years. And when you get yourself to a place where you're aligned at a higher level, and I'm talking physically, mentally, emotionally, doing your work, you open to another level of vitality, and the energy that needs to be processed, the energy, that, the lower patterns that need to be moved out, get moved out. Now, in the East, they said it was in the base of the spine, and if you look at that culture, it's a pretty macho culture, and macho means people, especially men, are blocked sexually. And so if they started to do their work, the place that they would first experience that energy starting to push through would be in the base of the spine, related to blocked sexuality. But my experience has been, and you remind me, every time I think about this topic, I remember one young man who was at Heartland back about 30 years or so ago, and he had been a football player in high school. And, he was, I don't remember now, in his 40s, something like that. And, he kind of went around with pain in his ankle and his wrist and his this and that. He just had all kinds of injuries throughout his whole body. And as he goes into still point, and he's really doing his work, all of a sudden, this energy starts to move. Now, for him, because his injuries had been painful, it was quite painful. It was actually intensely burning and searing. And my take would be what he did was he came into a state of alignment where the energy was able to move at its natural pace, which means places it was blocked, it punched through and moved out, the same way as someone who's blocked in the root chakra, when they're open, the energy will start to move through there. And so I think, if you're not deeply traumatized, but there are energetic patterns that need to be worked through, and you're breathing, you're doing your work, then you're stepping up to a place where you just move into a process point. And that higher energy starts to move through you and just clean up everything that doesn't belong. So wherever it is, it could be the big toe, it could be the eyeball, it could be anywhere. And that energy will start to move, and you'll experience anything from just a gentle sensation to an intense burning, searing pain. So I'd say, I know the work you've been doing. You've been breathing every month on a regular basis and carrying on with your work. And so I'd say you're just hitting a process point where stuff's moving, and that's awesome.
It's quite an experience. I mean, it's just, I've certainly never experienced it before, and it's hard. I guess I can't really talk about it. I thought I would be able to, but
I can relate to it. When I first discovered still point breathing, I had been trained in classic breath work, and there's a point in the still point process, and of course, as you know it, that's why it's called still point, where the breath, rather than being held, spontaneously stops. And when you come into that stop point, then kind of high speed fast forward on a very subtle level, there are a lot of energetic shifts taking place. And if you really pay close attention, you'll be informed of what those shifts are about. But they tend to happen on high speed fast forward. I remember the first time I discovered still point, and I'm breathing away. I didn't have anybody to support me. It was the first time I decided to breathe on my own. And I became aware of, there are sensations going physically, and I became aware of this kind of like if you turned a tape recorder on high speed fast forward, there was that kind of a sound going on. And I kind of freaked out a little bit, and it's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Slow this down. And it did slow down. And what I was shown is this is being released, this is being changed to that, it was just like a computer program running. And I realized that it came from a place of moving into a higher level of vitality, moving into a space where there's the openness and the power, the vitality is there to move it. And so if you just, when you find that happens, listen a little closer and see if you can touch into exactly what is being shifted. But that's what I hear you describing. And that's awesome.
It is quite similar to that, only you add the difference of being asleep to being aware. Even in still point, we're aware. Often I am. Sometimes I go completely out in still point, but more often than not, I'm still, my consciousness is still present.
And you can ask Ruka. You can ask Ruka if you're moving into that space in sleep to just allow you to be aware, just awaken you enough to be aware of what's moving.
Oh, to
and
identify?
Go with it. Enjoy it and breathe.
Well, I am very aware of it, of what's moving, but it's a completely different way of being aware.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, it's more sensual. It's more a sensation. A fleshy sensation experience.
Mm-hmm. Purely physiological.
Yes,
there's
purely
probably
physiological.
a mental component that goes with it. Yeah, there's probably a mental process that goes with it. Yeah.
It happens after I've been reading The Way of Mastery.
Cool. Well,
that's when it's happening.
Then I'd stick with The Way of Mastery, and it's obviously, it's a book you're ready to be with, and the energy is there to support you moving. So that's awesome. I know in my work with the Course in Miracles, I've not gotten into the Way of Mastery, but back when I worked with the Course in Miracles, there were 2 paragraphs in the Course, and it was about words, where for a time period, and I don't recall now what the time period was. It might have been a week. It might have been 3 months. I just don't have a recall of it. But every time I would read those 2 paragraphs, I'd instantly go into that state. It was just like this altered state. And then one day I picked it up, and there was no more altered state. It was just words on a page. And I realized, okay, well, so that opened me, and when I finished the process, there was nothing there to open. And so I would hear you probably being in a parallel where this is opening you, where you move into that altered state, and that's awesome. I remember doing that with the Course. It was only those 2 paragraphs, but it was a sweet, sweet process.
Oh. Yeah. It's a shift in when I'm reading it. When I'm awake and I'm lying in the bed reading it, I'm aware that it's a very high frequency.
Cool.
Yeah. Which I don't, in my normal conscious human experience, I'm not on that level.
Right.
I'm just being present, and that's good. But so it's a frequency thing, like as if you're listening to an extremely high pitched frequency. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like you're being moved toward a deeper and more profound level.
Yeah, the fact that it's engaging a shift, an energetic shift in the cells inside my body. Really. So you got it. But you know
Powerful.
What I did? I didn't know there were several different versions of this book, and the book I ended up buying was Volume 3, The Way of Knowing, and I'm almost finished. Starting with Chapter 7, 8, 9, it's really, really getting intense toward the end of the book. So
there's a similar thing, Roma, that's recognized in Montessori education. You know, most educational systems, they call them education, but they're actually more indoctrination. We want you to learn this, so we're going to fill your mind with. We want you to learn that, going to fill your mind with that. But in Montessori, what they do, the job of the teacher is not to load information into a child's mind. The job of the teacher is to observe the child when they're ready for a new piece of learning. So when the child, let's say, for instance, indicates they're ready for math, then the teacher moves them into a prepared area of the classroom that's designed for a child to learn math. And what they found is when somebody's in that sensitive period, they'll learn what, the average kid might take a year to learn. They'll learn it in a week because their energy is ready for it. They're ready to learn it, and they just absorb it. And it sounds like you're entering into those sensitive periods around the information in that book in particular that's moving you into an altered state where, things are accelerated immeasurably. Kind of sounds like you're in a sensitive period for that particular topic in the Way of Mastery. So congratulations. That's awesome. To find those things is a treasure.
Well, and what is so thrilling is that when I become aware of it while I'm asleep, I don't wake up. I'm not awake. But
right.
I am very aware and witnessing it, and I'm asleep. It's so, I don't know. It's like nothing
Sounds
else
like you're waking up.
Yeah.
It's moving.
Without waking.
My assessment. Yeah, my assessment when I shared that about the still point, and what I realized, in classic breath work, when the breath stops like that spontaneous stop, as opposed to being held, that's when, generally speaking, a person's given a jab in the ribs and said, wake up, you're going unconscious. But really, the still point is becoming conscious from a soul level rather than just from a mental level.
Right.
And that's why it seems, if you call the mind into it and the mind becomes aware, it's high speed fast forward, because the energy that moves on that soul level is like, accelerated many times over what the mind normally works at. So the mind normally doesn't even notice it. That's why they've, I think, called it going unconscious, but it's anything but going unconscious.
Yeah, that's
so
a really
congratulations.
word. Yeah, the soul. That really rings bells for me that you use that word, because that's definitely what it is. It's a soul.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing than mental awareness.
Yeah, and well, I will be interested to hear if anyone else is having these kinds of experiences.
Well, we'll put it out there and see if anyone has anything to share.
That's why I called. I'm
all right,
curious
sweet.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, lots of blessings. Take care. We'll see you on Saturday.
Bye.
All right, blessings. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Miss Jeannie. So do we have anybody out there in the phone queue that's going to respond to Roma's inquiry?
There are no hands up at the moment, so someone press 1, and it puts you up first in line.
So if anybody's got a thought for us. Well, in that case, I'm going to move to, page just skipped on me. Just give me 1 second here to recenter on this page. I actually had meant to read this on Friday. It's usually a kind of a tradition that we do at Mother's Day. But, excuse me while I'm sliding through the pages to catch up with this post. It's on my Facebook page. Here we go. So this is a tribute to moms. So for all you moms out there, and it's entitled Just a Mom. True story written by a woman. And so she starts out about how, I'm just going to read it for you. I stood in line as a woman named Emily renewed her driver's license at the county clerk's office and was asked her occupation. She hesitated, uncertain how to classify herself. Well, what I mean is, explained the recorder, do you have a job or are you just hesitated? Of course I have a job, snapped Emily, appearing a little embarrassed. I'm a mom. Well, we don't list mom as an occupation, but housewife covers it, said the recorder emphatically. It sounded demeaning. I forgot about Emily until one day I found myself in the same situation, this time at our town hall. The clerk was obviously a career woman, poised, efficient, and possessed of a high-sounding title like official interrogator or town registrar. What is your occupation, she probed. What made me say it, I do not know. The word simply popped out. I'm self-employed as a research associate in the field of child development and human relations and executive assistant to the CEO of my company. The clerk paused, ballpoint pen frozen in midair, and looked up as though she'd not heard correctly. I repeated the title of my chosen field slowly, emphasizing the most significant words. Then I stared with wonder as my pronouncement was written by a hand that was proud to make my acquaintance. Written into the public record for all the world to see. It was in bold black ink on the official questionnaire. Might I ask, she said, with new interest, just what do you do in your field? Coolly, with a new sense of pride at the realization of just how important my purpose in the world really is, I heard myself reply, I have a continuing program of research, bracket, what mother doesn't, in the laboratory and in the field, bracket, normally I would have said indoors and out, and I'm working for my master's, bracket, the whole blessed family, and already have 4 credits, bracket, all daughters, and handle all aspects of our company's business. My work is acknowledged as one of the most demanding in the humanities. Bracket, any mother care to disagree? I often work 14 hours a day. Bracket, 24 is more like it. The lives I touch alter the course of history, and my chosen career is more challenging than most run-of-the-mill jobs. The rewards are out of this world, more than just money, prestige, power, and success. I thrive as a mom. There was an increasing note of respect in the clerk's voice as she completed the form, stood up, and personally ushered me to the door. As I drove into our driveway, buoyed up by how important my position was, I was greeted by my lab assistants, ages 13, 7, and 3. Upstairs, I could hear our experimental model in the child development program, bracket, our new baby, testing out a new vocal pattern. I'd scored a beat on the bureaucracy, and the cloud of our culture has put on motherhood was erased forever. I'd gone on the official records as someone more distinguished and indispensable to mankind than just a mom. Motherhood. What a glorious calling, even when there's no title on the door. Now, grandmothers and grandfathers, recognize your importance as senior research associates in the field of child development and human relations. Great-grandmothers and grandfathers accept with dignity your role as executive senior research assistants. Aunts and uncles, take your place as associate research assistants. And dads, thanks for your part, your love, and support. For the most important human grouping in the world, our family. May your troubles be less, your blessings be more. Nothing but happiness come through your door, and may this be the best year yet of your eternal life. And I followed that up in our post on Mother's Day with a quote from Rumi. It says, love is the cure. Your pain will give birth to more pain until your eyes exhale love as effortlessly as your body yields its scent. So, honor and tribute to all the moms of the world, especially the moms that are personal to me. Jeannie, your awesome raising of your son is a light to reflect on, and watching how that's being carried on with Aria Rain is amazing. To your mom, who's not here in her body anymore, we send our love and appreciation into my mom. So thank you, ladies, for what you've done for us. We appreciate you deeply and dearly. And just a moment of silence to honor moms all over the world. What a monumental task. A TV series we've been watching for some time now is called Call the Midwife. It's on Netflix if you happen to have Netflix, and it's just an awesome, sweet portrayal of life. It's based on a book written, true story of a woman who was a midwife in a very poor neighborhood in London, England, and her experiences with being a midwife and delivering babies and all the people involved, and all of the, it's a powerful place to open processing, because it really focuses on each in the series of programs, and I think they're up to 8 seasons or something like that, 9 seasons, really are just like real life, where the rubber hits the road, where people live with their traumas, hurts, injuries, tragedies, and yet the whole thing is kind of like the show is written in such a way that the whole thing is being encased, it's being held in the presence of active love, and every twist is always, while it shows some of the suffering in life, the uplift of what happens if we stay connected to that presence of love when we happen to create something of suffering in our world. And of course, ultimately, what this work is about is letting loose of the need to ever create suffering again. Recognizing it is not something that comes to us accidentally. It's a result of a creative process. I was interacting with someone recently, and they were coming from a place of, well, if you look at the Christian tradition, here's this man who goes through all kinds of pain and suffering, then gets to go to heaven, has this wonderful time. And they tied those two things together like one has to precede the other. And, I finally, after going back and forth several times, and the insistence that, well, it's at least implied that the suffering is what leads to the quote-unquote heavenly state. But I question that. I question that as a presumption, because when you realize that we're creators, if we buy into that, we can create the need to suffer. And it's a silly association. Someone had actually posted, well, it seems to at least be implied. It's like, well, okay, so a rainy day, a man's driving down a mountain and drives off a cliff. If it happened, accidents happen and often happen during or after rain. But if I choose to associate rain with driving off a cliff, then every time it rains, I've got an obligation. Or sooner or later, I'm going to fulfill that self-imposed prophecy. I think the message was actually the reverse, that if we're in harmony with the energies in which we live, move, and have our being as human beings, then our lot in life is one of connectedness and of experiencing life from the presence of love. And if we're not experiencing that, if we've stepped into a different arena and have experienced creating pain for ourselves, then there are tools with which to remove the patterns. And sometimes those patterns are inherited. They're culturally demonstrated for us. And, my offering would be that suffering is optional. But if you come from a long line of sufferers, and your power person dynamic included the modeling of suffering, then probably suffering is your lot. And pick up the tools and put an end to suffering. It doesn't mean that everything's going to go exactly the way you want, but the suffering part of it is optional. We can stay, whatever's going on in our world, we can stay connected to active present love and experience from that perspective whatever it is that's going on in our lives. And so the objective of the tools is to recognize, and the main tool, of course, is the tool of forgiveness, is to recognize that when you apply that tool in the arena of suffering, and particularly the forgiveness process, that suffering is something that can be forgiven. And remember that forgiveness means removed. Doesn't mean letting somebody off the hook for what's going on inside of me. It means that I take responsibility. I move within the deeper parts of my own mind, and I remove those energetic patterns. I forgive what doesn't belong in me and put an end to the need to suffer. So in a nutshell, that's where this work is going. That's what this work is about. And if you have a thought or a question for us, we can't see you. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number, you'll be listening to the show. And if you're on that number and you push 1, that will raise a hand in the control panel, and Jean will know that you have a thought for us, that you have a question or something you'd like to share. So it's a delight to be here, and we've got not quite 30 minutes left, so there's lots of room for conversation.
There were, nobody has a hand up, but there were two comments that came through, not the app, but through the website. And one of them, I'm kind of in the blank of what they're even asking or stating.
Okay. Let's try it.
You know, each page on the website, they can comment. And, of course, I get a notice and either approve or disapprove or answer them or whatever. And so this was on the page of the MP3 where there was a discussion about the Kobores and its validity as a source for this work on first century Aramaic forgiveness. And so her question or statement says, when the facts that withstand all, it depends on where you put the emphasis here, when the facts that withstand all attempt to destroy one's focus, nothing else spiritually matters. Or I guess you could say, when the facts that withstand all attempt to destroy are one's focus, nothing else spiritually matters. So I'm not real sure what they're looking for there.
I'm not sure either. It sounds like someone who perhaps is overwhelmed with what's going on in the world and abdicating to the lower mind, the spiritual process doesn't even enter the arena. That's the direction she's going, but I really don't, there's really not enough information to really say what she's meaning, so I'm not sure.
I agree.
But
okay.
My take would be if there's overwhelm, then jump in, start doing worksheets, remove the energetic patterns of overwhelm, and wake up to your spiritual being and do your work. We just heard Roma talk about a new level of awakening, and I've known Roma, and she's been involved in doing her work and doing this work for 40 years or maybe something close to that. And here she was today sharing a whole new level of process that's happening for her. And that's the result of the work. And, time unfolds, and, there's sometimes some big facts, quote unquote, that overwhelm us. And, of course, facts oftentimes are nothing but perception. And when we collapse it, we find that another possibility comes in. So that would be kind of my take on it.
Okay, and then there's another lady or gentleman who has written and said, I am in need of finding a Course in Miracles Aramaic community and wondered if you could let me know where I might find it. And so I was going to respond there that we're based on the Aramaic work, but that while we do bring up or refer to a Course in Miracles occasionally, that's not our main focus. I gave them the phone number and told them they could call into the show, that this was an awesome community. And then I told them if they wanted to go back through the archives that in January or in 2018, starting in January, you went through the course day by day. And then in 2021, Dr. Tim went through the course day by day. And so that's 2 years worth of going through the course. And then I sent them to the website to look at the link, Kobores link, and that they could look at their schedule, and I told them about the book club and the self-study and the monthly breath work. And I said, all of these are fabulous communities of people doing this work. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I would add one more thing, and that is that we do have, way back in the early days of developing this work, and I'm talking, let's see, Michael J. was probably 4, and he's now 42, so 38 years ago. For several years, I did A Course in Miracles every week in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And we do have a set of 48 tapes or MP3s now of those Course in Miracles lectures. And they're available in our catalog for purchase. They're each anywhere from 60 to 90-minute presentations, primarily based in the Course in Miracles, the 48 tape series. There are 3 or 4 of them that are on other topics as well, but primarily based in the Course. And there was just some powerful processing that happened, and some powerful presentation of the principles of the course. So that set of links is available for purchase in our catalog. So if you're interested in taking your Course in Miracles studies to another level, that 48 MP3 series is pretty powerful. I've had people, I remember a physician in South Florida actually used to do a session with me every week. I mean, for 5 years, did regular personal sessions. And that was back when we were using cassette tapes. And he actually wore out 3 sets of those tapes. He bought 3 different sets of them. As he wore through them, he listened to them so much. So it's a powerful series. If you're interested in, your focus is on Course in Miracles. So, and that was a group that we had in Fort Lauderdale for a period of about 7 years. And we would run anywhere from probably 40 to 100, 120 people a night that would gather to work with the course. And that was really a part of the foundation of developing this work, was that 7 years, and not in Tibet, but in Fort Lauderdale. So that might be something to add to it if they're interested in doing something. And if you're really working with the course, and one of the things that we invite you to do, if this work is impacting you, has impacted you, if it's shifted your life or changed your life, is we invite you to consider supporting us. A product purchase is one way to support us. We do have, links to, I don't even know now how many different workshops, 15, 17 workshops. We do have DVDs of those workshops. We also have CDs of I think 5 different workshops now, 4-hour CD series. And so if you want to support us, a product purchase will help to do that. And or you can go to our website, whyagain.org, and there's a donate button. And if you want to donate to support us, that would be awesome. Seeing as how we are not on the road now, since we've stopped traveling, with Jeannie's dad being ill and our granddaughter being born and being here to take care of her, after 40 years of going anywhere on the planet that we were invited, we are no longer traveling. And, as you notice, this radio show doesn't have any sponsors or any commercials. We paid to do the radio show. We don't get paid to do it. And so if you want to support us, please, jump on the website, hit that donate button, or make a product purchase. That will assist us in continuing. Jeannie just completed the 4th iteration of the forgiveness app, Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness. If you haven't downloaded that yet, you might go to your app store and just type in the words Heartland, one word, Heartland, Aramaic, Aramaic, forgiveness. You'll be looking at the world's only forgiveness app, and it's awesome. There's a page or a link in each page where you can click and send us a question just in an instant. If you're working on a worksheet and something comes up that you don't understand, click that link, send us a question. We'll answer it here on the show, and we'll let you know when we answer it. Go ahead, sweetie.
We have a hand up, and I believe it's Julie in Oregon, 541. You're on the air.
Oh, great. Hey, young lady. Welcome.
Hi, it's Julie. Hi.
How do you be?
Thank you. I be resonating with Roma.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Hitting new levels of process. That's 2 of you in the Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing group. Cool.
I'm so glad that you're doing that group and that I'm in it, and I recommend it to everybody. It's just such a way to keep moving through everything. So resonating with Roma, she's moving through what she's moving through, and I appreciate your description, though it's different for me. And what I want to share is that I went to bed last night asking for a dream, or I was willing to be open because so much is stirring in me. And before I go on, I just want to say sometimes I don't recognize my own vitality level. I actually pretty much always think I'm not doing enough work, so, but then again, there's a readiness. Message. Yes, thank you. There's always a level of willingness in me. I just simply live at willingness to be shown and assisted through my resistances. So I was ready for a dream to happen, and I took my vitamin B6, and was ready to have a good night's sleep. And I woke up with this dream, and it's pretty kind of morbid, but I need to say it. And then I think it's taking me to or reaffirming this new healing level that I'm getting to. So the dream was about my dog who had passed away in 2017, whom you know and others know that I had an immense grief about losing my dog when it came time for him to pass. And so this dream was seeing him in the water. I don't know if he jumped in or what, but there were different kinds of creatures in the water, pods of fish and this and that. And in the distance I saw seals. And I had a fear thought of, oh no, what if he goes over there? That will be so dangerous. And so then I went to get help, and when I came back, he was now missing his legs and was just a remaining carcass with his head, his whole center spine, everything was center body, right? No arms and legs. And it was so weird. And I scooped him out, still wanting to save him, and held him close to my body. And felt, this is so weird, but I didn't know anyway. He was mad. Well, when I came towards him to lift him up, his eyes opened. He was still there, conscious. I held him close to my body, and he managed to lick my neck on the left side as I was holding him. And I just felt that connection of love once again with him. And I woke up in tears and crying and grieving and breathing it through. And then I went back to sleep. And this morning I'm going, what was that? And so I held my hand to that place in my neck where I was holding him, and he licked me. And it just felt like it was a message that something's going on there for me to be aware of that needs healing in me. And at first I got that it was just I'm needing to heal, or I'm having the opportunity to heal a new layer of grief that is a blockage in me. And then I realized it's fear, and so it's what it is so there was that thought of fear about him and having to save him. But really, it was more about me saving me. So in my mind, I have been experiencing some fear. I have been taking in information lately of this COVID vaccine thing. They're bringing up the Johnson & Johnson one again, and that's the one I chose to take because I could agree with it the most if I had to. And in that I'm saying that I knew I would be conscious of, let me say this, what I was afraid of with the other vaccines was the mRNA or whatever it is, where the RNA is being reprogrammed or whatever. And so the reason I like J&J is because in my lineage, on my mother's side, there is heart problems, heart attacks, heart strokes, blockages, things like that. So I figured I would be able to look into it and heal it in that way if it ever came up. And that was my courageous step to taking a vaccine, just so I could travel, okay? So here I am at a level of dealing with something like that. And hearing in the news again the fear about, blood clots and this and that, this and that. And so I have been carrying fear inside me about it. And this is an opportunity for me to address it with the Aramaic healing process. So that's up for me, and I'm trusting the process. And I had the dream. I trust my dog. I trust what my dog means to me, and that it's a place where love is true and real, and that is what I'm relying on is to get me through anything like this, anything unlike love. So, Michael, I'm telling this story because it's an acknowledgement of the work, and I'm letting you know that's where I am. And I kind of need some help because I feel like fear now in all these pinpoints of where these clots could be. The imagination of, oh my God, they could be all over me, and it's that stupid vaccine blame, right? So I need to get to the next level of responsibility and love for the removal of this. And that's why I called, please.
Breathing with you.
Thank you.
So in dream work, oftentimes going into water is looked at as moving into spirit. Mm-hmm. And so seeing your dog is no longer physically present, perhaps there's a connecting or a meeting there. And you may be getting down to some, when I hear that all that's left are the essential parts of the dog's body, that you're maybe getting down to some of the core, the crux of what it is you need to deal with around loss.
Yeah, and grief, right.
And so to me, it would likely be getting down to some of the very core stuff that you need to be moving through and letting go of.
Oh, that's really good.
And and a good breath. There you go. Now that's the kind of breath that moves the energy. And it sounds like it also parallels your relationship where you've been, back and forth in grief and loss, or being there and connecting, and what are you going to do with that? It sounds like there's a parallel there as well. And so, maybe your puppy is communicating that still hanging around as support.
I know. Yeah. That's really awesome, too. You can think about that. Yeah. Well, there's definitely a mind shifter emptying process that would be in order, and then those core issues will show up. And fear of loss, one of the connections of loss at the level of the intake of the news and the information about the latest, greatest in COVID technology / perpetration. Anyway, there I went with all my judgments and words, and I lost it. It slipped away. Because I'm not taking responsibility, really. I'm letting that be causing my experience. So
well, it sounds like it's resonating.
Oh, I know what
things.
It was. Sadness. Yeah, sadness and fear and loss. It was losing our world as I've always known it growing up. Losing the beauty and love and hope and unthwarted aspirations I've always had, and feeling like the world and its agenda of some others who are choosing a different function for the world to serve themselves. And I feel sadness at the loss of the beauty I've always known, I guess, to put it in words. And the sadness is just the atrocities. I've always felt immense sadness for the atrocities. And when I avoid looking at them, I avoid the news, I avoid.
So here's your invitation.
There it is, and seeing my dog in that dream in that such a state and feeling like I've caused it. Like, how could I let that happen? God, that's a load I carry. Responsible for everything. Instead of where I can just make a difference. Which is always now. I'm also letting go of loads and loads of things I've been storing in my garage and papers and getting rid of excesses.
Sounds like several worksheets that are up for being done, your next level, your next layer.
I guess just doing worksheets on loss. I don't think I've really done any with that as the specific core issue. So, okay, I'll just do that and see what comes up. Okay.
And, a thought comes, that lightens the energy a little. The thought comes, I remember, I remember one time when you shared some punishment that you were experiencing as a child, some fairly brutal punishment. And the thought comes that you might do a worksheet or two around that as well and let go of any idea that life is suffering.
And that it's my fault.
That would be a good one, too. There you go. You don't have to be responsible for everybody else's, just your own.
And this is so beyond, and I'm starting to finally get beyond my intellect, because all these ideas, punishment, they can keep me away from really feeling the punishment, feeling the loss. So I'm starting to learn how to move beyond my intellect, which helps me resist doing the work. And also without dismissing my intellect. My intellect is a good mind and has good jobs to do. So I'm alleviating what it's been tied down with, all these negative holds and thwartings. If I do that work, I release all that. So I'm just coaching myself right now, like, okay,
perfect.
That's a good reason to do the work.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Thank you for letting me air this out with you and get it onto the table. And actually, I feel this week is a preparation for our session coming up, right? This Saturday we have one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Getting ready for the next layer.
Oh, yeah. And, yesterday I laid down on my bed where I usually do the breathing work from during our sessions, just to do one, and be in that space again and start the opening. And it works. I mean, all of this is already, it's working all the time. So truly, by my willingness, I am in a constant state of the truth of my vitality wherever it is in any given moment.
How about a mind shifter?
I know that was intellectual a little bit, but still, I always like that part. Sure, I'll take a mind shifter, thank you.
It's safe and healing.
Yes, okay.
For me to live my life free of suffering.
Oh. Ooh. Oh, that is so good. Yes, that will. I'm going to do that mind shifter, and then
Time
I'm
to let
going
it
to
go.
do my garage and all that stuff to let go of.
All right.
That'll be.
Well, we'll be holding the space,
Mm-hmm.
and we're down to the last minute or so.
Thank you.
So I'm going to say thank you for your input, and everybody, create the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world, and blessings. Bye-bye.